Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here. This is the Astrological Winds channel. I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather forecast for the week of April 18th through the 24th. And first, just the official little business is best way to get in contact with me is through my email, and that is mattthue823@gmail.com. And I know some people don't make it to the end of the blog, so I want to get the contact information out there right away. It's mattthue823@gmail.com. So if you have any questions about readings or anything else that you'd like to get in touch with me about, that is the best way. However, the blog is on YouTube. It's the Astrological Winds channel. So if you have a YouTube account, you can just hit it as a favorite and turn on your notifications. You'll always get it. It's also available on all kinds of podcasts. There's no reason to really see the video of me if you don't want to. It's really most important to just listen. And remember, if you don't know astrology well, don't get caught up on the language of the astrology. What you're listening to me for is what the energy means, so that you know the energy that's going on this week and you can use it in the best way that you can, just to having that awareness. And also, if you have Instagram, Astrological Winds channel, please become a follower right now, because not only do I post the blog's link there, but every week, 2 or 3 days a week, usually I post some updates on some of the more intricate stuff going on certain days of the week. So you may be missing out, and that's not in video or audio format. That's just a little blurb, usually just 2 or 3 sentences or so in a post, so you're missing out on that. And then the one other way, you can Facebook me as a friend. My Facebook is private, but it is strictly mainly for just astrology. I don't use it for much else. Matthew Lawton, Lauten, and just do a friend request, and I do post the link there. But Astrological Winds channel, hashtag Astrological Winds channel, that's the way to find me. And like I said, if you don't know the astrology, just listen to what I'm saying about, what the weather is. It's kind of like listening to a weather report or an economic forecast. You may not understand the exact meteorology or business way of the way the economists are looking at things, but you can still understand the general gist of what they're trying to tell you. So one astronomical note, since I seem to always forget the astronomical notes, I'll start off that this week too. So all 4 of the main planets we normally see are in the morning sky these days, and Venus is super bright. If anybody gets up before dawn, that is the super bright one, but they're lining up. But even more importantly, Mercury has made one of its fleeting appearances of the year in the evening sky, just starting a few days ago, and will be visible in the evening sky until May 10th. And I think about May 1st or 2nd, it's his greatest elongation, so it'll be actually visible until about 10 p.m. So anytime after sunset to about 9 or 10 p.m. is one of your few chances to get to see Mercury during the year in the evening sky. So I, encourage you guys to go do that. Now, it's interesting. I want to start today with a little bit of aftermath of a very intense full moon that we had this weekend, because some of the aspects of it, the aftermath aspects, are still exact and are very tight on this Monday, April 18th. And it's interesting too, each day of the week has a planet that rules it. And Monday is Moon Day, and the moon is all about our emotions. And it's interesting to me that, that falls on the day after the weekend, because, that, is a time when people, seemingly get a lot more in our culture and the way we have it set up. people get a lot more emotionally involved with one another on the weekends. And so, like, Mondays, a lot of times when they go back to the real world and they really get to process a lot of the emotional stuff that went on. And this weekend in particular, with that full moon at 27 degrees Libra, opposite the Sun Eris conjunction, and in the T square with Pluto, could really, really have us like chewing over what went on this weekend, emotionally for us. And with the moon in Libra, for most of us, that was probably with relationships with other people. And I think, what a lot of it may be about is just like, when we think about this Aries energy that's been really prevalent because of Chiron in Aries, and right now the sun's in Aries, and Eris has been in Aries for a long time, and now the sun and Eris are conjunct, and then the full moon shines the light on what's really going on. And Aries is all like, also all about the head. It rules the head. So there's like a lot of energy packed into this. And when I think about what, I've been talking about since Chiron went into Aries about how we need to be self-responsible for our own healing. But I think what this full moon, especially with the sun conjunct Eris, and the square to the Pluto really probably showed us is how we're hurting ourselves. Like, Chiron and Aries not only is about being responsible for healing ourselves, but also recognizing that we are the ones who are hurting ourselves. And so how, the Aries thing is showing that we're stuck in our own heads in some way, and we're causing our own chaos. That's the sun conjunct Eris. That's all us. It's all on the individual. It's the Aries is the individual. It's the, Aries and Leo are the two signs that are most associated with our sun, with our life path, with our ego, with what our own motive and drive. So it's all about us. It's all about our own self-responsibility here. And so if there's a lot of chaos happening in our lives, it's because of us. There's a lot, and that's like, and it has a lot to do with our head. But this full moon, really helps us see that, and it's intense. That Pluto energy is like, wow, that's really hard to look at. And the full moon is also making it be able to be seen by others too, by the public. People act out in the full moon. I mean, look at this last weekend here in the United States. What do we have? Like 4 massive shootings. So it shows people go out and they just like, during the full moon, they just like are like, they act out their impulsive behavior for all to see. So and what's that doing with the Pluto is it's causing your own self-destruction. That's what's going on. And I know that's really difficult to work with, realizing that we're responsible for our own pain, our own suffering, our own grief, but we're also responsible for our own healing. And we have to control the mind and discipline the mind. The great religions say, how do we alleviate the grief and suffering in our life is through disciplining the mind and not letting it dwell on like negative things. So it's hard with its Aries energy. It gets stuck in your head. And that Aries energy is hot. It's angry. It's vindictive. It really wants to do what it wants to do. We all know this. This is all of us. This is the human condition. It's a tough mix. And we have to remember now too, this is imprinted on this full moon cycle. So we have like at least 2 weeks, if not 4 weeks, of that imprintment on this emotional cycle going on right now. And what's interesting about that, if you remember in the monthly, I mentioned that Pluto is getting ready to go retrograde at the end of the month. So it's actually starting to slow down now. And it's been going in forward motion for 7 months. So a lot of the stuff think about what's been going on in your life the last 7 months. It probably has brought in a lot of transformation, but it's been like intense. I mean, just think about what the world's gone through in the last 7 months. The Omicron came and went, and now we have a war that is so big that it possibly could conflagrate into the next world war. We have like the economy spinning out of control, supply problems, a lot of weather type issues. So things have just been like really transformative in the last 7 months, and it's forced a lot of us to change. But the thing is, like, Pluto, like I said, can be the path of our own self-destruction. So now we're going to get 5 months to like look inside ourselves and really process what just went on the last 7 months. And, and like really have to face the consequences of what we did, and with Pluto, if we were in positions of power and we were manipulating other people and situations, then, we may have found out that may all backfire on us. But, at the same time, we're learning about ourselves so that we can actually help ourselves transform. Now, if you'll remember last week, I said Mercury was going to conjunct Uranus right on Sunday, Monday this week, too. So that is the big thing going on this week, is Mercury is going to trigger the Saturn Uranus square by first conjuncting Uranus right overnight. Last night was the exact, so it was literally the wee hours of the morning on Monday that this happened. And that really can agitate the mind. Like there's things coming at us very quickly under a Mercury-Uranus conjunction, and we have lots of like ideas, like we might have like really, once again, it fed what was going on in our head mainly, and so we may have made a lot of quick decisions in the last couple days that were not thought out well, that were half-baked, and may end up jamming us up, like jamming our minds. It's like a traffic jam in our own mind is what a Mercury-Uranus conjunction can be like, and so like, you might have done some things that like, you may realize, especially as we get closer to the end of the week when the square to Saturn to Mercury comes in, where we're going to realize, whoops, went too far and kind of got ourselves in a pickle or whatever, a mess that now we're going to have to be responsible for and own up to and clean up. The good things about Mercury-Uranus, while is anybody who's in like, a scientific, mathematical, analytical, technology, or intellectually driven kind of a job or mindset, right now, the ability to use those things is really acute and well. But you just remember, decisions right now are just way too hasty. We don't really have a deep understanding of what is going on yet, and our nerves can get really edgy. We can have accidents, things like that, from going too fast. So like, but then as we get towards the end of the week, next weekend, the Mercury-Saturn square will be exact. I believe it's on Sunday, and this will start to sober us up. We'll start, which, on many, we'll realize that a lot of the ideas that we had weren't the greatest ideas, and they may not have stuck to the wall. Now, one of the things that's interesting too is Mercury is starting to slow down. It is going to go retrograde in next month, and when it goes into Gemini, but it's going to backtrack into Taurus. So it is going to get back towards the square in Saturn. So we're going to actually have about 6 to 8 weeks to, really assess in a sober way some of the stuff that, went on not only under, Mercury Uranus conjunction, but under this full moon and the sun, Uranus. Eris conjunction. And it, like I said, it can be very sobering. It can be very gloomy. We can realize like somehow we restricted ourselves, or we made decisions that now have gotten us into a place where we're stuck or in a serious situation, not having as much fun, so to speak. So, basically a reality feedback time, and we may have to wait 6 to 8 weeks for things to kind of, figure out where we're going, it can really get us into like a narrow, critical, pessimistic kind of way of looking at things. The good thing about that stuff is we can really use it to focus, to concentrate on our work and whatever we do need to repair or fix after maybe, the chaos we may have created in our lives with the Sun Eris conjunction and the Mercury Uranus conjunction. What's interesting too, to top all that stuff off, is that on Monday, today, is the residual also of the Sun Pluto being exactly square. Now remember, it was part of the T-square, but this is where we really see that, there's been a lot of powerful stress coming from within ourselves and from the outside world. And it's really gotten us to a point where, things are kind of like falling apart, possibly. They're needing, you may have found yourself in power struggles or, in situations that are breaking down, situations that need to change. And it basically, it's life testing you. It's life, making you own up to your mistakes and your decisions. And it's wanting you to get rid of and purge out a lot of like whatever it is that's leading you to do that, like the attitudes, the actions, whatever it may be. This is like a situation where circumstances and others, and even yourself inside, are questioning what you're doing. And if you're resisting change, then it's just going to make it more difficult. It's like, it's like you're trying to hold on, and it's like you need to kind of let go instead. And it really starts with letting go of old attitudes, and things that were exposed under this full moon, possibly, that you just need to own up to, or otherwise you're just going to make yourself like kind of miserable, and a lot of self-destructive things are going to happen. But it does give a great opportunity to inject a lot of creative depth and the chance to correct mistakes and move on and move forward, so real intense energy. And then as the weekend comes, and we get, it's not easy, the weekend comes, it's, that Mercury Saturn is going to play into that too. So it's like going to just make us really get deep on it. Now, what's interesting is there is a Venus sextile Uranus Monday too, which shows that already the transformations we're going through may start to open up new opportunities for new experiences, new creativity, maybe new relationships, new connections, new things coming out, maybe new opportunities with money, things like that, because that, once again, the full moon also could have exposed a lot of issues about, issues with money too, and things like that. But like I said, as we get close to that weekend, Mercury not only is going to square Saturn, but it's also going to conjunct the North Node in Taurus. Now, you remember, the North Node went into Taurus a few months ago, and I said this is going to really be a time where people really need to focus on resources and what's going on with, resources and trying to stabilize them. And when Mercury conjuncting the North Node, and once again, it'll go back and forth over it because of the retrograde period coming up, it really may open up new connections on resources and how to get security with other people and within groups, and people exchanging ideas and trying to create stable associations over resources. And with the Taurus energy, people are going to have a tendency to want to maybe simplify and go back a little bit, go back to tradition, to conservatism, to actually look at old ways and try to find solutions to these problems, maybe from places in the past even. It's interesting because the Taurus energy does, work well with the Mercury Saturn, where it's like, it's stabilizing. It's like looking at things in a really realistic way. And, when you think about even like, economically in the world where prices are at, gas, energy, food and everything, that might not, it might not even be much of a choice, really. It may be our collective dharma together, that North Node, to find ways to be more conservative, to be more simple, to go back, to Taurus is earth, to land type things, to things that were stable and worked and provided rhythmic feeding, basically, and knowing that, resources were there, and that, that there was stability. Now, what's interesting too, like I said, it plays in well with the Mercury Saturn square too, but Mercury's also sextile Neptune on the weekend at the same time that it's conjunct the North Node and square Saturn. And I think that's kind of interesting because it is going to give some imagination and inspiration to that energy, but I think it's going to be like a quiet sensitivity, like where, it will blend in with the Taurus energy well. Like, Mercury, Neptune, in a sextile can quiet the mind. And Taurus is also about like, kind of quieting things. So it's almost like having like ideas inside us that we're really like focused on ourselves and willing to, try to stabilize them and bring them into reality with the Mercury Saturn and the Taurus energy, and just like really try to build something out of those ideas that are inside us. So very, very interesting mix of energy going on from the full moon and the Mercury Uranus into Mercury Saturn, triggering the Uranus Saturn square, and the full moon triggering that Sun Eris and Pluto stuff. And then two other things I want to mention this week, and then we'll be done. The sun is also going into Taurus. That's on Tuesday. So that's the middle of the spring up in the northern hemisphere, which is where the zodiac was created, in the middle of the fall down in the southern hemisphere. And this is a time when, we really, usually things start to stabilize. You think about the middle of the spring. This is when, you start to, get production out of things. Life kind of stabilizes after the winter. It grows. It takes the initiative of the Aries energy from the last month and starts to stabilize it. And it's definitely about the senses and about, pleasure and slowing things down, slowing our decisions down, really thinking things through, very protective of our family and close friends too, kind of like more conservative type values once again. So that's just like that Mercury North Node pushing in that energy, stubborn too, not as willing to change, really wanting to stay on what we know works for us and has gotten us through. And and a lot of times with Taurus inside, emotionally, there's a sensitivity, but it's blocked a lot of times, and it can be more of a sadness than an anger. But when it does get angry, it is like the bull. It's But for the most part, Taurus, for the most part, one of the big lessons is we are maybe overlooking a lot of the deeper emotions and trying to push them under the rug right now. And, focusing more on our material needs helps us to disassociate some from our emotional needs. And that's always the tricky thing about Taurus, is finding the right balance between our emotional needs, because inside Taurus does have sensitivity and the material needs that Taurus just loves so much about the earth and its beauty and its bounty. So it's, a lot of times what Taurus will do will overcompensate on the material side to make up for the emotional side and the hole that it's feeling emotionally. So like finding that balance is like one of the things that's part of this Taurus journey. And then the one other thing I wanted to mention too is the asteroid Juno, which is the asteroid of partnerships. The wife is going into Pisces this week. And really, that's wanting to infuse your ideals into your relationships, and in particular, your partnerships. And which is, and it's kind of like wanting your partner to, be the way you want them to be in this ideal way, which is great, and can happen at times. There's no question at times, but it's also unrealistic to expect that to always be that way. So it can lead to a lot of disenchantment, or your own setting yourself up for disenchantment with others, because it's not possible for people to always live up to your ideals. There's going to be times when they do, which is a beautiful thing, and you feel this unifying, connecting energy with the Juno and Pisces. But there's other times when that's not the case, and it's going to disenchant you with them, and you may try some form of escapism at that point, retreat, get overly sensitive, play the victim, play the martyr, obviously maybe there is someone who's that ideal partner out there for you, but I think a lot of times that is actually you having compassion for the difference between you and others. Remember, the Pisces is connected, but also swimming away from one another. So you have to honor that difference. And if we have that compassion and tolerance part, the positive side of Pisces, for our partnerships, for our close relationships, then that's a positive way of dealing with that, rather than getting disenchanted because people can't always live up to your ideals. All right, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. It is available every week on YouTube. Become a follower, turn on your notifications, and you'll know it. It's also available on all kinds of podcasts. Just look up Astrological Winds channel. It goes out through Buzzsprout. It's on Spotify, Apple iPodcasts, Reveal, a whole bunch of others. Just look it up on your favorite podcasts. It's not on that one. Try another one. Also, become a follower on Instagram. Look up Astrological Winds channel, and I do post stuff during the week there too. Or you can friend me on Facebook under Matthew Lawton, Lauten. This is a free service. I would like you to pass it on to somebody else right now, today, when we're done. Somebody else that you think would be interested in it. If you'd like to give a donation, no donation is too small. You can look me up once again at Matthew-Lawton on Venmo, Lauten. I'm also on Zelle or PayPal. And best way to support me, I've been doing professional readings for over 20 years. They're, mind-blowing experiences for most people. It really helps bring greater awareness into your life so you can make better decisions in your life. Get your natal chart done first. I always say your birth chart, know what's going on in, part of what your makeup is. And then every year getting a predictive reading, which is basically your weather forecast, just like I do each week on this blog, but for you specifically. And if people are interested in monthly or weekly or daily forecasts for themselves, I also do that. Just have to email me, mattHue823@gmail.com, and we can discuss prices. mattHue823@gmail.com. Also do relationships charts, children's charts, fixed star readings for deeper readings, for real, specific issues, elections, for looking for the best time for it to start something, horary questions, if you're looking for an answer to something that you can't seem to find, things like that. Also have classes and lectures available. Classes are $25 a piece on Dropbox. Just contact me once more if you want a lecture or some kind of entertainment for an event you have. Once again, mattHue823@gmail.com. Okay, I think that covers it. Until next week, use this Mercury, Uranus into Saturn to try to, just start to get exacting on some of the things that are working for you and, getting rid of some of the things that are not working for you. And I will see you all next week.